Previously in X-Men, the X-Men are in deep space, each impregnated by a parasitic species known as the Brood. Also, they keep getting called sleazoids, which is what it is. And their friend Carol Danvers, who many of us know as Captain Marvel in the MCU, has been genetically transformed into a being of cosmic energy, now called Binary. And when the hull of the X-Men ship is breached by said Binary, the issue ended on a cliffhanger. I am Jason Lapidus.
I am Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics. Welcome to episode 80 of our ongoing Tuesday night live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic. As we read Uncanny X-Men 165 by Chris Claremont, new penciler Paul Smith, and Bob Wiacek returns on inks. Cover date of January 1983. Chris, hello, and how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well. Had a day at the office, then an evening in the yard cleaning up, and now I'm ready to talk some X-Men.
That sounds great. Yeah.
And how about you?
I'm doing really well. I got a lot of sleep last night, finally, after a few late nights over the weekend, or over the course of maybe 3 nights. I got very, very little sleep due to work and some band activity and that kind of stuff. And so last night I went to bed maybe before the sun went down, and I felt much better this morning. But when you're at this advanced age, it takes a few nights of regular sleep to kind of fix not enough sleep. But I'm doing good, man. I'm really excited to get back to reading some X-Men comics. And, we got some cool stuff done for our comic book project.
We certainly did.
Group of 7 comics. Besides the crowdfunding campaign that reached 100%. 100%. Fully funded, let's put it that way, which is fantastic. And you can do that now, by the way. If you want to contribute to that Crowdfundr, it's on to the end of the month. You can go in the link below and support us there to get a copy of the new edition, the expanded edition of Group of 7 Comics Most Secret Tale. So that's cool.
Totally
Besides
cool.
that, we also got proofs back of our upcoming comic book. This is not it. This is just a sample of the cover in printed form for me to play with levels and whatnot, of Peregrine's Hunter's Moon, which is our 3rd one-shot Peregrine's comic, which debuted through a series of Instagram posts. This time it was in December of 2022. And every day we posted 3 images, and we spent very little time on the composition and on the rendering and on the writing. And it's sort of just like a very spontaneous fly by the seat of our pants adventure with a solid premise. And we just let's go play with our toys. So we went and played for the month of December. And came up with Peregrine's Hunter's Moon. So that's off at the printers. We saw the proofs today. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it.
Book number 12 for us.
Book number 12.
Book number 12, and also available to order as part of our crowdfunding campaign.
Absolutely.
We'll have it at our table likely this summer. A few copies there. Usually end up at our summer fall shows. We'll see. A number have been pre-ordered, which is great.
Yes,
but if you are interested, and we're going to drop some pages tomorrow for New Comic Book Day as well, online, socials.
That's a good idea.
Check that out. A little bit of a preview. If you like what you see, order the book through our Crowdfundr.
And it's debuting, of course, at MCAF. If all goes smoothly. I'm the kind of guy, I'm a bit of a problem to work with for many reasons. One of them being that I love pushing things up against deadlines and past deadlines.
You're a fan.
Yeah. So I'm headed to Montreal next week for the Festival Bande Dessinée au Montreal, which is the Montreal Comic Arts Festival, which is a lovely show. It's springtime, outdoors, Montreal, on the plateau. It's a beautiful place to be. So I'll be there if everything goes smoothly between now and next week, with copies of Peregrine's Hunter's Moon to debut to our friends and fans in Montreal. And there's a good opportunity to sketch on the inside front cover.
I noticed.
I went a little bigger and bolder.
You went bigger. I was going to say.
Well, it is a full moon. It's
true.
A hunter's moon. So I thought that was a. And if I'm gonna draw, let's draw. Maybe you can fit a couple in there. Let's do
totally
this.
Cool, man.
One of the things I really love about Montreal is that the many of the BDistes or the cartoonists there, they spend a little bit of time drawing in front of everyone's book as they sign, and I find it quite charming and terrifying as a cartoonist, as a drawer in that case, to try and fulfill the expectation that I brought upon myself. So I'm giving myself a good opportunity to draw a little bit, even if it's just a little larger. It doesn't have to be very elaborate, but just taking the time to give everyone a little extra hug and kiss in artistic ways. A fun thing to do.
Yeah.
There you go. Cheers.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm sad to not be there with you in Montreal in a week and a bit. We had such a great time last year, and even just seeing the posts this year, just getting me excited about you to go. And I think I've already made the mental decision to join you next year. So I'll have to make up year. So
we'll have to see if Montreal will have me back.
It's true. They might say no.
I mean, who knows what trouble I'm going to get up to?
Ooh, no.
With my early bedtimes.
It's a city known for its calm demeanor and boring nightlife. So,
no, you just described me. I mean, this guy, I need to be in bed so early, and I need to just like.
To be fair, we went last year. It was we had the lights out usually around 11 o'clock or 10:30. We were both pretty wild. They're busy days. They're busy days, people. So it's nice to go grab a burger or some food afterwards, and then a couple of old guys like us just hit the hay.
No, last year, I mean, just to clarify, you said we had the lights out. You don't know that. You had a room on a different floor than me, or at least around the corner.
Around the corner, yeah.
And we said we were going to bed, but maybe I didn't.
Oh yeah, maybe that's true.
I was.
That's where all those jazz concert videos came from.
Right. Remember that jazz concert in the park around the corner from us?
That was pretty rad. Actually.
That was awesome. Maybe I went back there. I didn't.
You're too busy. You wanted to watch the first episode of Obi-Wan.
That's true. I did want to watch Obi-Wan. You're absolutely right, and I kind of wanted to draw and go to bed.
Yeah.
Jason Lowe says you can do it, and I was talking about, I think, me drawing in the inside of the books, under those pressures, which is going to be fun to do. So I thank you, Jason. I appreciate your encouragement. To me, my ex-friends, he says, yes, I can't wait to dive into this issue. It's so much fun. I'm glad you're here with us, Jason. Often you pop in around 10 o'clock, this being 9 o'clock for those of us who aren't watching live. And so it's good that you're here so early. Burger in Montreal? What about smoked meats and poutine?
What about all the things, Jason? What about all the things?
So I'm there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I think there's time for all of that. And just to also clarify, smoked meats are heavy. Poutine is heavy. I don't really want to know me if I eat both of them in the same meal.
I saw it happen.
I had smoked meats and poutine in the same meal?
A little side of poutine at Schwartz's. Little side of poutine.
Did we?
Maybe I did. I remember it there, and I had the side the big pickle and cutting it with the fork and knife.
I remember having poutine, I think, with burgers at that burger place. On the corner of Ontario Street.
Could be.
I don't know if we had poutine at Schwartz's. I don't remember. Either way. Well, I'll live it up. Don't worry. Anthony he says, good evening, gentlemen. Congrats on reaching that crowdfunding goal. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Much appreciated. I am looking forward to hopefully sneaking off to Planet X maybe tomorrow. I said that last week. I never went. Things have just been busy. I'm working on some designs for some aliens for an upcoming anthology book, a science fiction themed anthology. And I'm designing a ton of aliens. And it's keeping me busy at the board and pushing editors on deadlines. So lots of drawing to do, but I'm hoping I can sneak out and get some comics tomorrow. You can do it all. Yeah, I've my 20s and 30s were spent trying to eat it all, and that's I got my fill. I think. Don't you think so? Visit Greenpoint Diner. They have all the poutine, the best ones too. Okay, maybe I will. That's
solid recommendation.
I mean, when you say the best ones, how many different poutines do I need?
I kept so true story. When we were in Montreal last year for MCAF, I kept disappearing during the mornings, and I just come back with baked goods and pastries, and I'd be hitting up all these little shops along the plateau, donuts.
You came back with little white boxes.
Like, would you like some food?
That's right. I forgot about that. I just remember heading off and finding a good pizza place and a really nice breakfast spot. Good coffee. We'll see. The food in Montreal was really, really nice. Jason says, correction, green spot. Okay, green spot. I hope it's nearby. I don't know. We'll see. Anthony, you're calling me a busy liar. Thanks. Yeah, I love getting into the comic store. I also love the surprises of coming across new issues that I wasn't thinking about, I wasn't aware of, and then the action figures that show up there when I'm not expecting it. Tons of fun. Mm-hmm. Tons of fun. So hopefully I'll run into you tomorrow, Anthony. And hopefully, Jason, I will eat all the poutine, all the best ones. Chris, how are you reading this issue today? What's
the magic of DVD-ROM today?
You don't have a Mignola?
No, this is one of the ones I did not pick up. I was fortunate enough about a week ago. My local The Dragon here in Guelph, Ontario had a back issue sale, and I picked up a number of classic X-Men Mignola covers. A couple that we've already featured. Couple we will couple that we will feature. So this was not one of them. So I am reading the original scan, which of course we'll show you on this stream. Just a PDF of it. Yeah. How about you?
Very cool.
What are you reading?
This one was not one of my favorite Mignola covers. It looked like it's conceptual. It's like there's some neat stuff to it. But Jason says Green Spot is a few metro stops away. I'm not going on the metro, dude. So. Like really, at the end of the night, I'm taking my stuff from my table, walking back to my room, and going to sleep. If I don't pass it between my hotel room and my table, I'm not going anywhere. It's going to be quite boring. I might pop in for a pint somewhere after one of the nights, depending on how much stuff I'm carrying. Anyway, we shall see. Oh, my family just got home. My son had hockey tonight, and he's playing 3-on-3. He's doing a 3-on-3 league over the summer. And so everybody went, except for me and the dog. So I just heard they just got home. Should I just holler at them? You can. Say hi? No? Sure. You know what? No, never mind those people. Let's do this. I'm reading it tonight via the Essentials edition. Mm-hmm. The Essentials being the big fat phone book style newsprint, black and white reproduction of all these issues in a row. Really nice cover of this one. I think it's great. Really great.
It's awesome.
Paul Smith on cover duties, right?
So I need you to give me a primer on Paul Smith.
All right. I actually don't know a lot about Paul Smith. I find that his comic book career is there's not a lot out there. Like, there's not a lot of comics that he made over the years. Okay. But he did a couple fill-in issues. You know how we've talked about that series called Marvel Fanfare? Mm-hmm. So sometimes these inventory issues get made. And so he finished the Michael Golden Angel and Spider-Man Marvel team-up that turned into an inventory story that was put into the first few issues of Marvel Fanfare. So he did like the last issue kind of thing.
Right.
And I guess he was pretty young and had done a little bit of work here and there, and then got the call from, or I guess the endorsement from Chris Claremont to come on in. And he had not proven that he was an artist that could handle the best-selling book in mainstream comics. And also, team books are notoriously harder to draw than solo character books. But he had not proven that he was up for the task of this yet. And he gets brought on to X-Men. And X-Men, I think he might be the first young guy that comes in that cuts his teeth on the title. And that kind of it becomes a bit of a pattern that Claremont and Louise Simonson have an eye for picking up new artists and bringing them in and let them cut their, they show enough talent and reliability that they can then sort of prove themselves on this title as opposed to coming in as already superstars. So, I mean, even to the point of Jim Lee, who, takes the series to new heights, he had done a little bit of work on Alpha Flight. He had done, and then Punisher War Journal, which when he starts Punisher War Journal, he's only on finishes, not even on breakdowns. So that means that the other guy is the one picking what the panels are going to be and picking what shapes are in the panel. And then Jim Lee is like fleshing it out in his own style. So he sort of gets taught comic book making. We're talking about Jim Lee here, not Paul Smith, in like Punisher War Journal, and then comes on to X-Men, and then like elevates it to superstar status. But there seems to be, like, starting now, like this tradition of young artists cutting their teeth on X-Men, which is kind of cool as a brand. It's kind of interesting.
That's super cool.
Artistically, I don't know what you're going to think of Paul Smith. Like, I haven't heard from you about this yet. I don't know. We haven't discussed it. I know that you and I both have read the X-Men Alpha Flight team up. I believe you've read that. Have you not?
The Asgardian one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read it.
But it doesn't, it's okay. It's not in your head as being something of, so for me, it was like something I found off the rack, at the local, at the convenience store as a kid. Yeah. And that was sort of one of my introductions to X-Men. And Paul Smith is the artist on that. So I have a soft spot for him. I think for, you and I have talked about a lot of people who grew up in the 70s, they have like a soft spot for Dave Cockrum. And then the 80s kids felt that he was kind of too old looking. Mm-hmm. And Paul Smith seems to hit a real sweet spot with a lot of 80s kids.
Okay.
So people, and just to throw his name in the hat, and I think this is true. I believe like our friend Robert Haynes loves Paul Smith, and I don't want to tell you how many issues he does. Like, you haven't looked ahead. I don't want to spoil.
No.
Because it is kind of interesting. It's an interesting thing about how many issues he actually ends up drawing. But we'll just let it happen organically, I guess, as we go. So people like Robert and like our age group, we all have a soft spot for Paul Smith. And one of the things he totally innovates is that now iconic looking Wolverine running forward with his arms out.
Right.
That pose, which most of us attribute to Arthur Adams, is actually a creation of Paul Smith, who then Arthur Adams was told or asked to like replicate in his own way, which then became like a mall standee, like a cardboard cutout. So a lot of people, and on many different covers, Wolverine sort of takes that pose, sort of like I'm like an action figure right here, like one of these poses, Yeah. Like that's a Paul running at the camera. It's a Paul Smith creation. So he left his mark for sure on the iconography of what X-Men covers look like forever.
I don't think I even really appreciated, the change in tone and the change in overall impact with how new artists join the book and leave the book, and new artists join as part of a continuum. I always pretty much would read, trades or arcs that were one artist and one writer. I didn't really think much about it, right? But having gone through, this is episode 80 of what we do, and having gone through, Claremont, Cockrum, Claremont, Byrne, back to Cockrum and Claremont, and now Paul Smith, like, it really is a really cool exercise to see the energy or the decision making or how all that just adds its own flavor to the book at the time. And they're all different periods. Like, we can say, Claremont is the constant, but he also adjusts his style based on whichever artist he's working with.
Especially Cockrum.
So it's really, it's a really interesting deep dive into, because we're doing it sequentially, to see like how the design choices change, and then they stick with you for a while, then suddenly, someone new is on the book, and it just changes your appreciation, and it changes your understanding of characters and empathy, and obviously we haven't done this before. But, and I know there are people out there who read, sequentially, like 1 to 200. That's part of, but I never did that. It's always a 6-issue arc here, a 10-issue arc there. So I never thought about it that way. But this is a really cool, like the fact I closed the chapter on the Cockermon last issue with Binary, and you open this issue and just right away. It's a different book.
I think you and I are also very much used to consuming media that is created by many, many, many hands, by huge teams, and you change a director and a movie will look different, but sometimes it's like kind of imperceptible, except for a few, if you start going into like auteurs, you can really start to notice directorial choices that are ever that are long lasting. Like when you see them, like, oh, that's totally going to be that director or that director. When it's a writer director, you can really see it. But in a lot of like these franchises, I don't think a lot of people notice when the director changes between Iron Man 3 and 2. Like they don't really know in the way that the movies look, because Robert Downey Jr. is the same. And he looks the same. But Logan looks totally different. It's a different actor now. It's almost like every character in the comic book is recast. They're all new actors because there is a new person who is rendering them. And whereas a movie or a TV show has so many hands that make those stories come to life, these ones really only have a couple. And if you change a writer, it can drastically change the comic book. And if you change especially the penciler, it drastically changes the comic book. The other pieces obviously do modify it, but a writer or penciler impact the overall experience of reading comic book more than any other two people, maybe in any other medium. Like, I mean, sure, I guess singer and songwriter, it's closer to that. Like, you change the songwriter, you change the song completely. And you change the singer, you change the song completely. So it's huge to think like what an impact these two individuals can have as writer and as penciler. Just imagine, man, making Group of 7 comics without this guy. They would look totally different, most likely for the better.
Never.
But it's a very different thing, right?
Totally.
It's just very different. So that's what's happened here as we dive into, after 22 minutes, almost 23, of issue 165. Here we go. So, Anthony's got a comment. We got to bring this all to a crashing halt. Talk to Anthony. Anthony says, I love Burns' run, but man, Paul Smith's issues are like the Empire Strikes Back of this era to me. You could not have a better endorsement for this particular Empire baby. That's my favorite movie of all time, so I can't wait to read these. For me, it's the first time. I know you've always been 40 issues sort of ahead of us, as you read your X-Men books. And I've only seen smatterings of this. I've never actually read these issues until now as well, like our good friend here, Chris. So, yeah, man, Empire Strikes Back. This is so cool to say. And Jason says he agrees. I think he's agreeing with the impact that the two roles play, or about maybe Empire Strikes Back. We shall see. Jason doesn't know anything about Star Wars. That guy, he would never make a Star Wars comment. I don't think you've even seen the movies, right? Yeah, who knows? All right, Chris, let's see what happens here. I better open up my book. Dodgers, free poncho. Whenever you want to, like, anything you point out about the art, I'm interested. Oh, Jason's agreeing with Anthony's comment. Oh, man.
So,
all right.
Right off the bat, and I know there's not a lot here to go on, but there is some. Characters are leaner.
No doubt.
And look at that muscle mass in Colossus' side.
Yeah. His arm and his lats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as again, that's the first comment right away, is like proportionally, like even the cheekbones on Kitty, it's just a leaner physique.
Yeah, agreed. I also find that I had trouble getting oriented a lot in Cockrum's spaces.
Okay.
I felt like I didn't really know where people were and like how big rooms were or any of those kinds of things. But right away, I feel like I know this space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a shuttle. I'm in like a hangar or whatever shuttle bay. It feels like a space that I know my way around a little bit better and quickly, which is a good thing.
Agreed.
Stanley presents Transfigurations, possibly the last stand of the Uncanny X-Men. It's fun to see that. Paul Smith does a lot of putting Cyclops in black.
Okay.
The heavy blacks on Cyclops, to the point even where we'll see some where his costume, the dark part is completely silhouette, which is cool looking.
Oh, that's cool.
A good graphic choice. In this issue, just to get ahead, there are going to be some pages that have some Kitty, Colossus, Heavy, the two of them. When we get there, do you want to divide and conquer, or do you want to do it all?
We can divide and conquer.
And then who do you want to give up?
How about I'll do Colossus?
Fine with me. You doing Cyclops?
I'll do Cyclops, yeah.
Okay, it's a lot for you to do here on this page.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, hold on to your butts. All right. Explosive decompression. We're being sucked into space. By the way, explosive decompression is the name of my sex tape. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, one more thing of note. Go back to this page.
Sure.
For those of you who are fans of comic books in general, you'll notice that Lynn Varley is on colors, famous for being the painter colorist of The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh.
We don't see a lot of her doing traditional interiors, but like right away, we're probably going to see some pretty good color theory applied, like having these cools as the background and your highly saturated colors in the foreground. It's going to make things pop. So I'm interested to see what her choices are.
It's funny you mention that, because actually what I noticed a lot about at least the first pages was that the coloring seemed much more consistent. And even looking at the first page there with Colossus, like everything looks appropriate. You know how this is colored incorrectly, or they're missing this, or like I didn't actually catch a lot of that this issue.
David Cutler says, "Hey guys, now that's a Slim Summers." So that good one. That's a very Cutler comment in a good way. Chris, you know that Scott's nickname is Slim?
Yeah, from the issue where they go to the carnival, and
right.
who's the mind guy who has them under his control?
Mesmero,
and it's like, yeah, he's like Gene's like bodyguard, Slim.
Right. So that is his long time nickname.
Deep cut.
Yeah.
All right. The internal hatches have already sealed to protect the rest of the ship. We're trapped in here. Luckily, the hangar bay is so large, it'll be a while before its atmosphere fully voids. We'll have time to act. The wind is terrific, like being caught in a twister. Colossus, shift to armor. Block the hole with your body. Don't let anyone be swept past. I will do my best, Cyclops.
I really like this Cyclops upside down. Like, it just... I don't think Cochran would have made that choice for whatever reason. It just feels like there's just, I don't know, good energy on that. It looks really good.
And look at Colossus's face.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, it's super boyish, but it's also,
yep.
I don't know. It's a breath of fresh air somehow. I don't
know. He's much more consistent with his staying on model with his characters.
Right.
One thing I'm really noticing that I'm probably going to take away from this is he does an excellent job of creating highlights on hair that actually give me a sense of the real volume of the hair, not just like a cool pattern. Or I struggle with that, and it's such a quick set of lines to feather as an inker, but the penciler would lay it down. But I really can see what Smith is like. Smith knows what this hair is, and he, I don't know, just accomplishes it really, really easily to create that highlight in the front side. Anyway, as he releases his handhold, Peter Rasputin triggers his body's lightning transformation from flesh and blood to organic steel, becoming, in the process, larger, stronger, more massive. Also, the name of someone's sex.
That's yours. That's your take.
Sure it is.
Sure it is. I must gauge my move perfectly.
Despite that, he is carried aloft as easily as a scrap of paper.
The slightest mistake will send the Earthling into space, where even my armored form cannot long survive. Ugh! I am here to rush, but I do not know how long I can stay.
That's a good-looking panel, too.
Isn't that a great panel? Like, I mean, he breaks the panel at the bottom, which is great. And he looks awesome in the pose, and you get the sense that he is being sucked out and he's hanging on, using his strength.
Yeah, I would, maybe a little more debris, like little pieces, like particles, and then like seeing it in its gaseous form, like forcing through that space. Like me, I just want to see all like everything coming through that hole. Everything coming through that hole also.
Oh my gosh, that's the trilogy.
Ouch.
That's volume
David.
3. Everything.
David says, look at those faces, those wild compositions. I think it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Nightcrawler, teleport Lilandra to the bridge. Activate the damage control systems.
With a burst of smoke and flame and the bamf of imploding air, unheard in the din, the German-born X-Men vanishes, to instantly reappear on the vessel's command deck. This stunt felt awful the first time we tried it, Nightcrawler. It hasn't improved with age.
My apologies, Empress. I'm not myself these days. But then who among us is?
The words are jaunty, but there's an undertone of bitterness and despair that Lilandra understands only too well. Scree! The repair systems have failed. We'll have to key in each function manually. I'll divert more air to the hangar. That should buy us the time we need.
Why bother? We're only postponing the inevitable. We are doomed, Lilandra.
Perhaps, my friend, but Wolverine could be wrong. Now, that's referring, of course, and I think there would be like a little asterisk here and a note from Wheezy. That's referring to the fact that the X-Men are each impregnated with a brood egg, and they're each going to transform into one of the brood, thus being... They're not dead, they're just no longer humans. And so their lives as we know it will end.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because when I read it the first time, I double take too. I'm like, but Wolverine could be what? Oh, they're referring to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. The information he shared at the end of the last issue.
Exactly. Thank you.
We have to plug that breach. Wolverine, cut loose a chunk of the deck.
The blades are adamantium, unbreakable, razor-keen, retractable into bionic housings in his forearms. They move through steel as easily as air. But as Lilandra tries to maintain pressure in the bay, so the X-Men will have air to breathe. The wind suddenly intensifies, yanking Wolverine free. Woo!
Brace yourself, comrade. This will hurt.
Same goes for you, buddy. My skeleton's laced with adamantium, remember? It don't break. Oof.
I am sorry, my friend. I warned you.
Thanks a heap.
That's actually a great bit of gag, that like the steel meeting the adamantium, organic steel. Ugh.
I love every time in these comics, and there's no excuse for it here either, like the density of the hulls are cardboard thick. Like there's one sheet of metal that separates all the characters from outer space. It's you just punch a little hole and in or out. Here we go.
Colossus, get out of the way.
Optic blasts of nigh irresistible force fire from Cyclops' eyes to finish the job Wolverine began. Here comes Petey.
I'm moving as fast as I can.
Kang! And that block of metal just exactly fits snug over those pieces, over that hole, airtight. Woof! Phew! That was too firemen close for gripes. We're falling. With the hull integrity restored by the X-Men's improvised patch, the decompression ends. Its wind disappears, and the ship's gravity, artificial though it may be, once more reasserts itself.
Colossus!
He's fine, Kitty. I'm fine. Everything's hunky-dory. That is, if you ignore the fact the X-Men are as good as dead.
He's fine. I'm fine, except you're all dead.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, at the mansion which once housed Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters and served as the secret headquarters for the X-Men, the team of mutant heroes founded by Xavier, a lovely summer afternoon is passed by Stevie Hunter, Moira McTaggart, and Ileana Rasputin, Colossus's younger sister, who is now much, much older.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care which character you do?
No, I don't care. Whichever one.
If you want to do Stevie and get me in an accent. Oh, no,
Sure.
you do, I'll do Stevie.
No, I'll do
You
Stevie.
No, because there's Charles, and I'll do
All right,
Charles.
you do Charles Xavier.
All
All
right.
right.
Any word?
None.
I feel a bit ghoulish, enjoying myself, knowing that the X-Men could be dead or worse.
So do I, but it's been weeks since they were kidnapped, and harsh as it sounds, life must go on. I'm glad of your company, Stevie. This place was turning into a mausoleum and bidding fair to drive me into child daft.
That was amazing. You're really good at that. How's Charles taking things?
Oh, not well. Oh, lass, you should have seen him when we first met. What a man. I fear he's never fully recovered from the loss of his legs. He gave his mutant powers his very soul to be with the X-Men right now, to lead them. He was born to be a hero, but instead he must stay behind while others battle in his stead. He chafes at that restriction.
I feel some of the same sense of loss whenever I go to the ballet, and the same desperate willingness to pay any price to return to what I was. It's not an easy thing to cope with.
Aye, in Charlie's case, things that are made worse by his belief that he fell the X-Men, as he did Jean Grey, and that they'll suffer the same fate. Keep an eye on Ileana, will you, while I'm inside talking to Charles?
Sure. Ow!
Stevie!
Before we move on, like, great body language. Just the poses of Moira getting her towel or walking, and like Stevie leaning forward into the like a smooth walk that she's kind of about to take barefoot. Like just really elegant figures and real simple, like not a lot of line.
I was going to say too, like
good line choices.
It struck me, when we've had scenes previous, especially women in bathing suit scenes previous. This one seemed like it came off as like less sexualized.
100%.
I mean, there's still the vibe there a little bit, but I think you're right. There's like an elegance there that is less. It's just less of a. The poses are different. The body language is different.
Yeah.
Than we've seen previous. So it came off as just hanging by the pool, as opposed to it being like, oh, here's Storm swimming again.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Just a spasm. It'll pass. I was in an accident years ago. Shattered my knee. Docs fixed it. Virtually good as new. I can walk. I can even dance. A little in class. The only thing I can't do is perform. No great loss, I suppose. No worse than losing your soul.
Charles, I have a letter from Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four concerning a young Vietnamese girl, Shan Koi Man, codenamed Karma. She's evidently a mutant. Her control over her abilities is self-taught. Dr. Richards believes there's a definite possibility of things getting out of hand. He'd appreciate your help.
No.
As you wish.
No argument, Moira. I'm surprised.
We fought enough this past week, Charles. I'm done with screaming and breaking my heart, trying to budge an immovable object. It's your life. You may live it as you please. Fortunately for the girl, there are other options.
You?
Perhaps. We've been associates in mutant research since before you founded the X-Men. I dare say I could do a fair job. But I was thinking more along the lines of Magneto. If we can find him, or Emma Frost's Massachusetts Academy.
Are you insane, woman? Magneto is the X-Men's greatest foe, and Miss Frost's cohorts in the Hellfire Club are almost as bad. You turn that child over to villains, evil mutants?
Aye, because with them, she'll have the best possible opportunity to learn how to cope with her abilities. She won't be condemned before she's bloody begun.
Is that the only choice? Them or me? Moira, you aren't being fair. I cannot bring another child into this place only to see her destroyed. The X-Men are my family. I love them as I would my children. You've no conception of how much it hurts to lose them.
Oh, no.
Forgive me, Moira. I didn't mean. I didn't think.
About Proteus, Charles, my son. A rogue mutant as wicked as they come. He murdered a half dozen people, and in the end, the X-Men and I had no alternative but to kill him. If I'd swallow my pride and my shame and turned to you for help, things might have turned out differently. Don't sentence Karma to a similar fate. One last thing, Charles. Proteus was my boy. It could have been ours.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
He sits in silent darkness after she leaves, watching the sunset, emotions and memories running riot within him, as his mind looks back on younger, happier days when he and Moira were in love, to consider what was and what might have been. He thinks of his oaths as teacher and physician, and of a girl he's never met, whose life is in his hands. Then at last a decision is made, a Rubicon crossed, and he reaches out for Reed Richards' letter and the telephone. And with all their technology at Reed Richards' disposal and Professor Xavier's disposal, they still have to write letters to each other to discuss this. Can you mind going back one page?
Of course, yeah.
David says, so true. Crazy how absent the male gaze element is. Though Moira looks pretty good in those sunglasses. Yeah, she looks cool.
They're pretty huge sunglasses.
Yeah, man. It's 83. But look at this on the page on the right.
Yeah.
In the 6th panel, the first one that's sort of stacked on top of 3.
Yeah.
That pose she's taking, like pushing, like talk to the hand. Like there's just some good body language dynamics in that. I like that one a lot. Good acting.
So I need to know who's Karma. Is that a person who comes back as a character?
Well, you don't mean to spoil it, do you?
Well, maybe not. But I'm guessing there's a Karma in future X-Men universe.
I'll get there in 1 sec. I just want to also point out how good like the color choices are in this page too. Like the green for outside, the yellows, and then her bathing suit, the magenta like pops up against it, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Switch into the office. We've got your, oranges, browns, a little bit of blue, and again that magenta just pops. And then flip the page again, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, sure.
And still, it's against those oranges and browns, not highly saturated, but her bathing suit just works. Like just easy to read, just fluid. Even looking at this next page, that yellow jumpsuit against everything else that's there, everything it's very, very clear to read. So Karma, and I'm going to get some of the details wrong here. So forgive me. She is a character that makes her debut in the comic that they didn't mention what issue it was. I believe that it is a Marvel team up with Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. They go up against a mutant who can do some mind stuff. And by the end of it, they kind of give her this option to like be a good guy or a bad guy, or she's not sure what she's going to be. She's kind of being used for evil. She will go on to be, I think, the first additional member of the New Mutants, even before Magic. I think that is a series I never went into. I never got into New Mutants, although I have the graphic novel, which I've flipped through but never read page for page, which was supposed to be the first few issues of the ongoing series, which they expanded to fill a hole in their publishing schedule as a graphic novel, which we should probably cover on this channel. And then the first issue or first batch, where it's again 5 members on the team, I think, 4 or 5. Wolfsbane, Cannonball, Sunspot,
Danny
and
Moonstar, is it she?
Danny Moonstar. Mirage is her name. And then
Mirage.
Karma might be the next member, and then Magic, and then Cypher and Warlock. That's sort of like the core that was there when I was a kid. They had a good group of characters, by the mid 80s.
Okay, so she does mind stuff.
She does mind stuff. I think she can control one other person's mind. Like she can put herself there. Do I dare look it up? I can see the effect. Like I know what graphic effect that the artists use to have her control someone else or have her in someone else's mind. But I've sort of forgotten at this point what her actual power is.
First appeared in Marvel Team Up 100.
Right. And
created by Claremont and Frank Miller.
Frank Miller. So Miller's on pencils for that one.
Yeah.
There you go. So
there you go.
I would think that this is after that issue, Jason. Jason says, I'm guessing this is before that Marvel Team Up issue. No, I imagine this would be after.
Oh, it's after. This issue is after, because that's December 1980 is the Marvel Team Up.
Oh, so it's a couple of years. Wow.
A couple of years, yeah.
But additionally, plot-wise, Reed Richards is reacting to having met her, and now he's reaching out to Xavier.
Right. Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. She might be the first New Mutant to actually appear.
Oh, I see.
Like her first appearance predates everyone else's.
Interesting.
Except for Eliana, if you're going to count.
Right,
her,
if you're going to count.
Because she's 1975, right?
Right. That's right, in that first issue.
The little girl who
can't hear the combine thresher at her doorstep.
I always thought it was just the parking brake was off and it was rolling down the hill.
No, she was blissfully unaware.
Yes, okay.
All right.
A Shi'ar shuttle, drifting aimlessly through the same nebula that enshrouds Lilandra's imperial yacht, Zri-Shar.
Anytime either of us say Lilandra,
yes,
or anytime any other character says Lilandra, we try to. It's always Lilandra.
Lilandra. This weird blue-purple thing is, I think it is a screen tone.
Okay.
I'm going to just show you. I have it in my book too, but I'm going to just. Hello. It's like that.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if that is a tone that was put down or maybe multiple tones that the color is put on over top of it. I actually don't know how one would replicate that. Like I don't know how you, in traditional media, it looks like there is maybe 2 different tones overlapping and they like would cut one off. I'm not sure. Cool.
Very cool.
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 Turn them into color holds. I don't know. Aboard Aurora, who, as Storm, is leader of the X-Men, sick at heart because she has betrayed her trust by deserting her friends. Stricken to her soul by the reason for that betrayal. What am I to do? A life grows within me, an egg implanted by the mother queen of the brood. It has joined its essence to mine. It spreads through. She says it spreads through my body, but I don't. That doesn't sound like her, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It spreads through my body and soul like some loathsome disease, corrupting everything it touches, reshaping me in its own image. If unchecked, it will consume me. I will die. It will leave. It will live in my place. But it is not a disease. It is a sentient being. And as the X-Men Storm, as the goddess Aurora, I am consecrated to life, sworn to preserve it at all costs. This creature is evil, but does that give me the right to destroy it? But if I do nothing, I will be destroyed, and this abomination unleashed upon the universe. I face 2 paths. One preserves my beliefs, though it means my death and probably that of countless others. Besides, that doesn't flow nicely. The alternative may save me, but what then of my soul, of the beliefs that give my existence meaning? Goddess, I am so far from home. I feel so lost, so alone. Blessed Lady, hear my plea. I beg you, help me. My hands. What? No.
Oof. That's a creepy fourth panel there. It's a little look back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get that she's looking back at the windscreen or the shield?
Yeah. Yeah, she's seeing the reflection, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks much clearer when in color because you can see her outfit. Like there's her head is the white, and then in just line art it's a little bit more challenging. And she tears off. I love these open panels, by the way. Like when there's nothing else around.
It's great.
Yeah, it just gives you a lot of focus.
We haven't seen them since Wolverine, right? The Claremont Miller.
Oh yeah, Cockrum doesn't use them, and Byrne I don't think used them too often. Once in a while in a smaller panel, but this is like a big and meaningful one. The metamorphosis is nearly complete when the shuttle emerges from the nebula. The light, so brilliant, so blinding. What can it be? Stars, filling the sky, nothing but stars. I'm myself again. Great drawing, by the way. This one of her, the hair over her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
This must be the galactic core. Millions of suns crammed into a relatively tiny volume of space. Living stars, living worlds, and from each I draw both spiritual and material sustenance. That sudden influx of power caught the embryo off guard and enabled me. Did you see this, by the way? They enabled Mimi? Enabled Mimi to reverse the transformation. I doubt I will be so fortunate a second time. The embryo's influence grows with each passing second. Even here, I cannot withstand it for much longer. If I am to act, I must do so now. Maybe he looks at a model, like just to get that pose. Looking just so. Hey, Chuck Dotson, how you doing? Nobody poses characters better than Paul Smith. Boom. There you go. Bold statement, and you might not be wrong. The X-Men took the sanctity of life to an absurd extreme, says David Cutler. The subtext is kind of uncomfortable. Oh.
Yeah. I was also wondering that.
I wasn't even thinking that.
Oh, I thought about that. The whole time.
David, thank you for hitting me over the head with a 2x4 of obviousness that I was just oblivious to. Thank you. I appreciate the smack back to reality. David says Claremont had a couple extra me's to get through this issue. Yeah, me. That's funny. I wasn't thinking about that at all. No subtext to me. Just kill the thing.
Right.
All I was thinking, which might say more than it's meant to. Anyway, I face not two paths, but three. Wow, this is about to get biblical. Out of fear, I denied the one I knew in my heart that I would take. I could not face the X-Men, tainted as I was by the monster within me, so I fled. I wish I could see them now, to tell them how much I love them all, to bid them farewell. With a last lingering look at the celestial glory about her, Storm summons the power of the entire core. And for the briefest of moments, a new star shines in the firmament. The process is surprisingly simple, no more actually than she does when she draws energy from the earth to manipulate the weather. But in this case, things are magnified to an unimaginable degree. Unimaginable degree. As Storm hopes, the embryo does not survive the ordeal. Neither does she. Okay, I gotta ask some questions here.
Okay.
Is this the first time that you've heard discussion about Storm drawing energy to control the weather.
So this, seemed new to me. This seemed because there's a part, even is it earlier in this issue, maybe last issue, she talks about, I can't even draw lightning because I'm in space. What can I do? Maybe it's in this issue earlier.
It was definitely not this issue. It was
okay.
Previous
so maybe
one.
it's yeah. So it's in the previous one. So there was always a bit of like her powers were somewhat negated in space, somewhat. So this is a new development. Feels like.
Yeah, I feel like this is also another time where it's Claremont opening up like the aperture on his character's power set, where he's like, yeah, they can kind of do anything if they just focus deeply enough. They've talked about her having connections to the magical world. You know, we know that she's come back from being a vampire as well.
Right, and then her time fighting against Belasco.
Right, but that was kind of the other version of her, right? That was
right, which is like the sorceress version.
Right.
Right.
Has sort of stated that, yeah, there's more potential in her. But there's like this element of her and her connection to the universe, her connection to the cosmic force and the living force. And I did not know that. I mean, I think this is just like a retcon on Claremont's part, where she pulls power from the earth to then manipulate the weather. I always felt that she kind of pulled it from her own focus and her intention, you know, like a Green Lantern,
right.
You know, focusing their will. Of course, the Green Lantern also gets their power from the ring, from the battery, but that's not what I was referring to. But anyway, I think it's cool. Like, yeah, I want to change your character a little bit as we go. I'm down with it. Just caught me by a bit of surprise that she could turn into a star. Like, that's, you know.
Yeah. It's strange.
Okay, that's cool. I'll go with you.
What's even more cool is this kid with a BB gun. And it's just curious there, but
it's some creepy art too. They printed real dark, like
it's really like the next scene is them both being killed by Jason, right? Like it's like Crystal Lake, and the BB gun turns out has no impact on Jason.
Right, on Jason Lowe, that is, of course. We're referring to.
That's right. Jason Lowe's chasing the shadow. Yep.
The campsite murderer.
Just watching.
Who is the happiest, most gentle murderer that, you know, one could meet. This feels like it's like for those out there who are art people, and if you guys know Sir Richard Corbin, it reminds me of like a Richard Corbin drawing before the horror scene is about to start. Neat though. The happy murderer. Jason Lowe.
Oh my goodness.
Face blue, wide eyes. Oh my god. No, you're such a nice guy. I can only picture you murdering people just for jokes. You murder us with humor. Elsewhere.
Another day's work, Lilandra. We should be ready to
Speaking of like Empire Strikes Back vibes.
Yeah,
the
totally.
idea of like hanging out on a spaceship, trying to make repairs, you know, having a little ins and outs, is such a great Empire Strikes Back thing. Anyway,
the question is, where do we go?
How about back the way we came to finish what we started?
To Slee's world, to take on the Brood, 6 people in an armed yacht versus an entire race. You're talking suicide, Logan.
What have we got to lose? The X-Men are living on borrowed time anyway. The Mother Queen implanted an egg in each of us. Because of my mutant power, my body's ability to heal any wound or illness, the one I got was zapped. And look at the helmet in my hand. You all thought it was soft paper fabric. It's not. It's a helmet.
It's a helmet.
But yours are healthy, growing. Sooner or later, they'll mature. Do you want to sit around and wait for that to happen? Or pay the Brood back for what they've done?
I am Magistrix Shah, Empress of a warrior race. I will show the Brood the identical mercy they have granted us. From this moment on, wherever, whenever I find them, be they high-born or low, adult or child, their lives are mine.
Look at the pose she takes, that stance. Like, such good body language. And above it, like, the angle that we see Cyclops' face, Varley colors him, like, in the shadow a little bit, which is cool because it puts the emphasis on the other characters. But we've never seen that angle of a face in these comics before. It's just nice and different looking. Sounds good to me, darling.
And to me, God help us all. It's also a great Wolverine pose there, too, as well.
Yeah.
The light behind him.
Yeah. He's looking good and ugly. I like it. Like, in the hallway here, like, I get it, again, the sense of the space, of the scale, like, of the depth, you know? Like, it feels like the spaces are more concrete to me. Face turquoise covering eyes. Uh-oh. Is Jason changing colors?
I don't know.
Are those supposed to be like emojis that I'm supposed to be able to see and it's giving me a funny readout?
I think...
Or is that how we speak to each other now?
Jason only talks in literal emojis.
I don't know literal emojis. I feel too old for this conversation. Later, it took a lot for Scotty to admit those kinds of feelings. They go against everything he believes in, everything Xavier taught him. It's a hard thing to toss away your ideals. Me, I could never afford them. What's this? Elf praying?
In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
What's doing, bub?
What does it look like?
Incongruous. I guess I never figured you for the religious type.
Why? Don't I look the part? I admit I'm rarely seen in a church, but I draw comfort from my beliefs and from prayer. Such comfort is dearly needed now by us all. You should try it, Logan. Who knows? You might like it.
I did, in the army. A mistake. I believe in nothing, never have, never will. What matters is what I can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Tangible things, physical things, reality. The rest is imagination.
And you have no use for that?
Nope.
I am sorry, my friend. I never realized how utterly inescapably alone you must be, with nothing to hold on to but yourself. More alone than I, despite my ultra appearance, could ever be.
I ain't alone, bub. I got you. Come on, let's see if they got any brew on this bucket.
I love their relationship. It's great.
I love it too.
Too, especially when they get emotional with each other. But also, over these run, they'll throw in a little bit about the Wolverine's past. We'll go, what? Like so he was religious in the army, which was a mistake. What happened?
Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Right.
If you want to play that game, we're not going to have too much. I mean, obviously it's like a movie retcon, and then I don't know if it's ever been in the comics. It's so hard to keep track of all the Wolverine comics that he's basically at Hiroshima. Or was it Nagasaki? I forget which city he was at in the movie, the Wolverine. But he's in the bay opposite that city when he's a prisoner of war when the bomb goes off. So that's one thing. So I can imagine it's not an unrealistic story arc for a character to lose their faith in humanity and their faith in God after that. Secondly, I have read comics where he's in a concentration camp as well.
Okay.
And I don't think he has his adamantium yet, but they basically keep killing him. And he keeps coming back. And so it becomes like a bit of a game for some of the the people there, and then he eventually goes on to haunt
Yeah.
the commandant or whatever.
Yeah, what issue is that? What is that part of?
I think it's a one shot.
It's a one shot, but it's great.
But-
he kind of like mocks the commandant because he keeps killing him and he keeps coming back.
Yeah, but he feels like he's a tortured soul too. Like he's not. It's sort of like in the middle of winter.
It is, yeah. And he drives them crazy because
right, but I feel like he's a prisoner the whole time. Like I don't know why he can't escape.
I think he can. I think he just.
I don't think he's there for shits and giggles. I think he's wounded and not healing fast or something, or he's. I don't know. I think it's part of a larger hardcover that you and I have both read. I think it's like Enemy of the State. It's probably in
maybe
there.
it's part of Enemy of the State. Yeah, good point. Feels like a little backup story somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think it was its own. I don't think you and I read it on its own. I think we probably read the same hardcover. That particular hardcover's passed through a lot of hands.
Yeah.
The name of your sex tape, by the way. Passed through a lot of hands.
Nice.
I really love the two of these guys, arms around each other, walking down the hall, going to look for beer.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
And this is now the second time they've made mention of Nightcrawler's religiosity or religiousness. And I think now it's going to be a staple. Like, now it's sort of cemented, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It took this many, it took 80 issues. Now it's like, oh, no. When things feel desperate, this guy turns to prayer. Because he can't see another way out. But cool.
Very
it
cool.
works.
Works.
And how's that Nightcrawler face, too? That big one in the middle of the page.
Totally.
He feels like he's walked right off of a cartoon. Like he looks really easy to look at, and it looks a good-looking picture. Anyway.
Green Goblin.
How's that video game? Is it the very first ever Spider-Man video game?
Wow.
Look at those graphics.
So they look amazing.
Later still, in Kitty's cabin, she's the youngest X-Men, 14 years old. A birthday having passed while she was in space without her knowing. What? Wasn't she always 14?
She's now
14 since like the Dark Phoenix saga?
Maybe.
Don't you think she's already been 14?
I mean, it feels like it sometimes, but I mean, maybe the thing with the certainly with Cockrum's run is that like we didn't know how old she was. We kept going from 14 to 18 to something else.
Well, visually, yes.
Visually, yeah.
But I feel like she's been 14 for a while. Anyway, but let's just move past that. And she's come a long way from her hometown of Deerfield, Illinois. She wonders if she'll ever see it again. That's a fair concern. Yes, she's 13 when she first appeared. Agreed. But I feel like we got her at 14 at some point. But I could easily be wrong, and I'm happy to get schooled on that. In front of the others, she tried to look as brave as she could. But in this cabin, by herself, the tears came and wouldn't stop until, at last, exhausted emotionally and physically, she finally fell asleep. Only to find herself standing in a cemetery in Chicago. At first, she's ecstatic to be home and with her parents, but then they shush her sternly, telling her that this is no occasion for such joy and high spirits. Chastened, Kitty composes herself. The X-Men are here too, even Aurora. But their expressions match her parents', their gaze focused on an open coffin. Belatedly, Kitty realizes it's a funeral, and her cheeks flush with embarrassment. How could she have behaved so badly? But who's dead, she wonders. As she's led to the grave to pay her last respects, one look gives her the answer.
It's like a horror comic.
The corpse opens its eyes and smiles. And then it isn't human anymore. It's a sleazoid. Like the Mother Queen, only smaller and yet There's something in the way it moves and acts that reminds Kitty of herself. It grabs her. She tries to phase through its tentacles, but her power no longer works. She claws at the ground with all her might, but her muscles are no match for the young queen's. She screams for help, but her friends, her parents, do nothing. She's dragged into the coffin, into the grave. The sleazoid holds her tight, gathers her close, a loving embrace. Flesh dissolves, realities blur. And where there were two beings, only one remains. It is a young queen of the brood. It is Kitty Pryde. No!
Katya, do not fear. It is all right. I am here. I will protect you. Shh, there's a girl.
Peter?
A bad dream, Kitty.
Doozy.
They have been making the rounds lately. None of us are sleeping well, if at all.
Yeah, except the reality when we wake is just as bad as the nightmares. Maybe worse.
Would you care to talk about it? You might feel better.
No.
Katya, it is no crime to be afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Of course you aren't. My error.
Peter, I don't want to die.
Who does?
Peter Nikolaevich Rasputin, don't you dare laugh at me. This isn't funny. It isn't a joke.
It is either laugh or cry, little one. And I refuse to do those monsters, the brood, the honor of tears.
Peter, don't you understand? Are you just too stupid or just too scared to accept the truth? We are going to die.
Da. Yes, Kitty, we are. What you do not comprehend is that we are dying from the moment of birth. Indeed, from the instant of conception. Creation bears within itself the seeds of its own destruction. Our lives are finite things. We live our allotted span and are no more. Regardless of what we may do, how hard we try, the best we can hope for is a brief delay of the inevitable. It is sad, even cruel, but it is also our most fundamental reality to be faced and accepted.
Dying after a long, full life, okay, I guess. Dying in battle, okay. I can handle them. But to end like this, to have this alien thing inside me growing like a cancer, knowing that I could turn into a sleazoid at any moment. Peter, it's more than I can bear. Okay, before you turn, go back. I know, it's a really good scene. Like,
It is.
not the most playful use of color, but man, is it ever clear. You know, just beautiful looking 2 pages, really clear. And then look at that acting in the last panel. You know, Kitty's face is in her palm, head down, and like gripping Peter's shirt.
Yeah.
You know, like holding on. Just some great choices there.
And Peter being like very, I guess, mature, but also philosophical.
Deeply philosophical for
Wow.
his portrayal, you know?
Up to this point,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I keep wondering, since we don't really die when the metamorphosis occurs, suppose some part of our awareness survives in the Sleazoid incarnation. To become a horrible creature is awful enough, but to remember at the same time what I was? Again, there are tears. Again, Peter comforts her until the emotional storm passes. Thanks, Peter. I really needed this.
Anytime.
Gee, I wish I was older.
So do I.
I don't feel comfortable anymore.
Now it gets weird.
You're fooling, right? Humoring the kid to perk up her spirits.
I knew precisely what you meant, Katya. I have never been more serious. However, little one, you are not over.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Why? When you're doomed, what's the point of playing by society's stupid rules?
This is not the proper time or place.
We may never get another chance.
You never know. The universe is full of surprises.
Most of them nasty. Peter, look!
Ah, my shirt. It's come off. By the White Wolf.
Yeah, interesting. Let's just move past. Let's keep going here.
I will say though, I do.
Don't say anything.
No. Just the whole thing. You know, they have this moment, and it's very awkward and weird, and this. But then he just rips his shirt off.
Well, he's gonna.
But he doesn't have to turn organic steel. You know?
Yeah, because he gets bigger. His shirt's gonna tear otherwise.
I guess
He just saved a shirt.
Cannot, but my shirt. Anyway.
By the White Wolf. Now my pants are chafing.
By some strange coincidence. Oh, damn.
Oh, Jimbo. I mean, Colossus.
Jimbo.
Aurora? Kitten. Little brother. How good it is to see you.
Your teeth, your eyes, the marks of a vampire.
That's not right.
Are you real or a ghost? She's gone.
I really like that. Like he's reaching through and then like the grabbing his hand. Yeah, anyway. A brewmeister you ain't, bub.
It's an alien food synthesizer. What did you expect? The machine and the beer should improve with practice.
I hope so. Logan, Kurt, hi, Oro. This stuff doesn't even rate as rot gut. Storm, Nightcrawler.
I saw, I heard, but I did not believe.
Nothing. Room's empty. Was she ever here? Could be your concoction's more potent than we figured. Could be we're cracking up. But I feel fine. Sober. Sane.
There, my friend. She's back.
Not quite. The one I saw was taller.
A child?
Everything is so big. No, it is I who am small. This isn't right either.
What is wrong, Liebchen? Can we help? Ah, she's disappearing.
An illusion. A 3D image. Yet when you passed through her, she looked as surprised as you did.
We must alert the others. I have a contact. Very large, very close. But the nebula scrambles our sensors, preventing any accurate scans. Cyclops, Wolverine, and I have had the most amazing experience.
Was it Storm?
Yeah, I
saw her too.
Can we get out of here, Lilandra? Which way do we go? Without a definite fix on the contact, we could ram into it. We need more data before we can act.
There's another one. Roro, relax, babe. You're among friends. No need to be scared. Take your pick.
Wolverine, it's a holographic projection. It isn't real.
Wrong, bub. I thought so too, but my senses tell me it's Storm. I'm following their lead. Cripes! Her features are changing, getting older. My beloved friends, forgive these clumsy attempts to contact you. I'm improving my control with experience, but it is proving far more difficult than I imagined.
Visual contact. Cyclops, it's one of the Brood's living starships. We're being swallowed whole. Full power to the engines. The rest of you activate the ship's combat systems. Let's punch our way out of here pronto.
No, I'm pretty sure he's talking to someone he's calling Pronto. Let's
Oh,
punch our way out of here, Pronto.
pronto. No problem, Cyclops.
Speaking of miscolors,
Yeah,
he's got blue hair.
blue hair. But look at that bemused look on Colossus's face. Like, let's get out of here. He's like, what's going on? Oh, am I still not wearing a shirt? Crazy.
Have my pants stopped chafing me?
My pants stopped chafing me. Wow, insane. Wow, okay.
Chuck says, Pronto is the new Mister.
That's right. Good one, Chuck.
Mister.
Too late. The creature broadcasts a power field that damages the matter-antimatter core. The matter-antimatter core, okay? The drive is inert. Ship's weaponry has been rendered inoperative as well.
That was for my protection as much as yours, Lilandra. I could not risk your injuring the Akanti before I had an opportunity to explain. Practice makes perfect at last. I meant to look like this from the start. There is no cause for alarm. Storm? Aurora, is it you? It is you. Pleased to see me, kitten? Yes, oh yes.
I'd like an explanation pronto. Aurora, what happened to you?
A great deal. Not all of it pleasant. I am not the Storm you knew.
How can you be so sure this star beast Akanti, you called it, won't harm us?
Wow. I know her at least as well as I know myself, Scott, because she is myself. The Akanti and I are one. What?
What?
In 30 days, the X-Men's final confrontation with the Brood, wherein they'll either live free or die. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Can you believe the series is about to end because they're going to die next issue?
Well, yeah, they're all well, except two of them have found a way to kill the embryos.
I guess. I mean, Storm is now some sort of
Celestial
higher being, like she's elevated, you know? And Cyclops' hair is now dark. Two pages in a row.
Yep. Peter's still shirtless.
Yeah, he's living differently, right? He's living free.
He is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about shirts anymore.
No.
Not when
Shirts are wearing 1982.
The Brood don't wear shirts when they transform.
That's true. Sleazoid style.
Sleazoids, yeah. Hey, check out that ad for New Mutants too.
Yeah, you can't ignore that thing. So that's a Bob McLeod, I believe. It even says his name there under Xavier's wheelchair. So this is the graphic novel is coming this fall to a store near you. So it is just about time to read that, right?
And this
I
is
think we need to read the next issue.
Right.
We need to read the next issue to finish the arc. And by the way, the next issue is double-sized.
The next issue is double-sized.
Yes, sir. 166 is a double-sized issue.
Get ready, people. It's going to be a long night.
Or not. I mean, we might get through it faster, but there's Karma. She's the one with the blue color hold effect.
She's the one with her mind powers.
Well, two of them, unfortunately, or fortunately, have mind powers.
Right.
Oh, I forgot another one that joins the team not too long after, named Magma.
Is Magma also have mind powers?
No, she's like volcano power.
All right, sure, yeah.
So she will get like fire hair and shoot fire.
Oh, okay, so we got quite a few. We got Wolfsbane's there. We've got Sunspot, Cannonball,
Mirage,
Karma, and Mirage.
Yeah, that's her name.
That's her name. Okay.
Yeah, Danny Moonstar. She, is the one who can create illusions, right?
Yes. Yeah. I saw the movie. I know what happens. Hey, everybody.
Have you ever thought about watching it a second time?
No, but there's things that I don't know. I think you and I have talked about this in the past, but there was things that I was just like, what? That makes no sense. And there are things I'm like, okay, I dig the vibe you're doing here. Okay,
right.
It does very much feel like a movie that there was very much a template. We're going to do this movie in this way. And then it gets to a certain point, and maybe it's when they show it to the studio or whatever, and there's just a change in direction. And so then it becomes a bit disjointed when you watch the whole thing because it's going in a certain direction and a certain tone. And then it feels like there are changes made, and you're kind of like, what's going on now? That's what it felt like anyway.
Fair enough. David Cutler's here with another good point. Danny Moonstar has the Kitty Pryde Emma Frost thing. where their real name sounds too cool for a code name to stay.
Oh,
We always refer to them as their real name, right?
good point. Instead of the White Queen or Shadow Cat.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, when it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the code names are a real secondary thought. So I was thinking about the New Mutants graphic novel,
Okay,
and tackling it, but I wonder if maybe a different format is better for us. Maybe it is not a read through word for word, but an overview.
right.
Like we just kind of read it and go over it faster.
Yeah, it might be
Or
kind
maybe
of.
we'll love it so much we'll want to read it word for
That
word.
might be nice.
Either way, I got to get you a digital copy or the real
Yeah.
thing. I'll find an extra one kicking around.
Find an extra one, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. But it should be soon, like maybe in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, something to think about, sir.
Okay.
All right. So that brings us to the end. Is there any more content in this issue, like an amazing letters page?
There's a D&D adventure.
Right.
And if you go to the bullpen bulletins, I don't know if there's any in there.
That's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. I think we're okay.
That's very cool. It's interesting that we didn't get nearly like as big a space adventure with the Brood as in the cartoon. It feels like it'd be really well suited for the cartoon because they did do that one episode that we talked about.
Yeah, right. Which is very Brood-like.
Broodish. But they really could expand this into a much better like 4-parter or something like that.
Yeah, they really are a substantial threat. Yeah.
Is the D&D art Bill Willingham? I do not know.
I don't know. Let's see if there's any information there.
They usually would not have an artist's name anywhere near that stuff.
I don't see anything. Yeah. Up close. I don't see anything.
Maybe Google can help with that one. I don't know. It's fun to look at, though. I always love when you have like different art styles and something else in the middle of a comic book. It makes you very aware that you're reading a comic book drawn by people because you're reading these different things.
Totally.
Yeah. D&D.
Totally.
We were just talking about both of our kids that are the same age have been playing D&D, and both have been really enjoying it. And I feel inadequate as a parent because I'm not able to participate. Set my kid or kids up for success in D&D.
Do you have any idea what your character would be?
What character I would be?
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Okay, cool.
Well, one of the things that I'm starting to understand is when you start, you aren't very good
at Dungeons and Dragons.
At Dungeons and Dragons, your character is not overpowered.
No.
Whereas Wolverine can, handle any situation. So I only want to go in and play if I'm already Wolverine.
I'm already Wolverine. Gotcha.
Yeah, I get to hack and slash. Some good melee moments.
Nice. I suggested my son who is a berserker dwarf. I think that's his thing. Barbarian
Wolverine.
Dwarf. Yeah, right. Exactly. He's basically Wolverine. I said, he's like, well, what should I have for weaponry? And I was like, you should have you should carry around a bucket. And then you can pull anything out of the bucket, like Mary Poppins' bag. And he's like, I think I'll just go with a giant axe. I'm like, you can go with the bucket.
That's you're a good dad. It sounds like you got things figured out.
I gotta say, it is a blast having them tell you the stories, though, and I'm sure with your daughter it's the same. Just like what happened today, and then it's like this whole creative exercise.
Yes,
it's fantastic.
Yes, you are right about that.
So good.
Sold out. New version coming. The expanded edition is on its way. You can support that at the Crowdfundr and the links below this episode on your YouTube app. There you go. There's that. Additionally, Group of 7, Issue 7, which is the first part of the Peregrine's narrative. Issue 8, second part of the Peregrine's narrative. Obstacle Course. Peregrine's the Obstacle Course sold out of print. Peregrine's Londinium one-shot still available, and the new one-shot coming out next week, debuting at Montreal Comic Arts Festival in the streets of Montreal, free event. It's a great event, you can pick up Peregrine's Hunter's Moon, which I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on and drawing in everyone's copy.
Yeah, and you can order that as well as part of our crowdfunder, which is still going on right now. We did hit our funding goal. Thank you to everyone. I know that a lot of you are here tonight. We are running the campaign until May 31st, the end of the month. So if you are keen to grab yourself a new printing of our expanded edition of our sold out graphic novel or our brand new comic book, Peregrine's Hunter Moon, as well as a few other things, go check out our crowdfunding campaign. I think the link is part of the information on this video.
And if supporting the campaign is not within the cards for you at this moment, we totally understand. You can do something as simple as clicking like on the video, sharing this video, sharing our information from the crowdfunder and on your socials as well. Even just putting a comment below and letting us know that you're doing well or you're enjoying things. That all the little things we can do to support each other are extremely helpful. So thank you for that. Chris, anything else you want to address before we call it a night?
Aside from my computer making random noises. No, all good. I think we did it. So crowdfunder, we talked about Montreal, we talked about
True.
Hunter's Moon. Yeah, no, I'm good. I think we're okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, then. We'll call it a night.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Thank you to everyone in the chat for hanging with us and making it a fun evening. Jason Lowe is apologizing on behalf of all Canadians in this moment here. Sorry. Like true Canadian, look at that. Been in and out playing with the cat, so you won't bother us while we sleep. Well, we understand. Go play with that cat. It sounds real important.
Is that an emoji?
Playing with their pets is huge. Is what an emoji. Oh, that's like the whole description is an emoji.
Yeah.
Nice. Chuck says, good show. Glad I finally got to watch live. Hey, Chuck, we're really glad you could be here with us. So thank you
Thanks,
for
Chuck.
that. We're glad. I've spotted you in the comments. And I'm happy that you could spend some time with us talking X-Men. And Pronto is going to be the new Mister. Pronto. Yeah. I think it'll only last until the end of this episode. And then it'll be done. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next time on Previously in X-Men. Have a great night. And take care, everyone. X-Men. Cheers, David. Have a good one.